Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the analysis of YOLENO TV. I hope you're well from wherever you're watching this channel. When the Gen Zs launched their counter demonstration, one of the biggest concerns was that these youth felt that they were in college, some of them, but at the same time they were confronted with the realization that there are no jobs. And then at the same time, they were confronted with the realization that the government was constantly putting more pressure on their parents' pockets. So most likely that is why they demonstrated in their numbers, especially coupled with the fact that the government had introduced a new funding model which was seeking to deny them the education that they've always enjoyed. Now, the World Bank, or rather the IMF, is one of those bodies that suffered the most. You know, the accusations were always leveled on the IMF. So because IMF realized that the Kenyans and the world, most of our developing countries are blaming IMF. Every time there's a crisis related to taxation, it's always the IMF that takes all the blows. So IMF has decided to advise the William Ruto government that if they don't address the issue of unemployment, the issue of joblessness, in its whole entirety, then they are going to find themselves in the same mayhem they found themselves in. So I want us to go to a statement that the IMF released lately. This is one of the most recent ones, and it's all about what the government has not done. Because the moment IMF released this kind of statement, that's when we found there was this issue of Qatar, which people have always also blamed the government, that it could have been that the government was hoodwinking Kenyans with massive jobs kumbe ilikuwa ni kazi kidogo na wanataka watu. So before you get further on this analysis, please, I'd like to kindly request you to go below there and locate a button with the word subscribe. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed before. Like this video to enable YouTube share this content to other people. Thanks so much for that support. According to statistics in the IMF, it says nearly 75% of unemployed people are the youths. So the youths are the ones who are mostly unemployed. That explains why when there was some demonstrations, many that were spotted in the streets were the Gen Zs. The reason being is the issue of unemployment. So IMF is telling William Ruto's government that either you wake up or, you will find yourself in the same shit that you find yourself in. Let me take you through a certain IMF experts advice. They said, enhancing investment in basic services such as electricity and internet connectivity could significantly bolster farm growth and job creation. Without these fundamentals, growth will remain stunted. By 2030, sub-Saharan Africa will need to create up to 15 million jobs annually just to keep pace with the population growth. So policies aimed at improving skills, training, and access to finance could help elevate these workers and enhance productivity. So these are some of the things which the IMF expert is telling sub-Saharan countries, and also this advice is going to Kenya. Just like I told you, IMF took majority of the blows the moment word had it that they are the ones who reigned in the government to come up with punitive policies in taxations that were going to hinder personal growth of Kenyans. So that is the reason why you find that IMF found themselves on the receiving end. That's why they had to come down here in Kenya and apologize to Kenyans for whatever happened. That followed the invasion in parliament, the deaths and everything that you managed to maybe spot, or you could have learned from other social medias.
Unatuona? Are you seeing us? The destruction.
So IMF is telling the government that the time for action is now. It's now. It's not even tomorrow. Most of the time, this government, they say that the youths are the future leaders. But IMF is not buying that kind of narrative. IMF is saying that the future is now. Deal with the issue of the youths or you will suffer the most. For those of you who followed some of those complaints in the streets, the media complaints, and generally everywhere, you will agree with me that IMF walikipata. But maybe perhaps if you think that is not the case, you can just tell us, what do you think about that complaint that we saw? The complaint was all about IMF. Personally, that's what I think. That is what was circulated. But maybe if you have a different idea, you can always share below on the comment section. If at all the government does not deliver on the job creation, because if you saw what happened on the issue of Qatar, it's alleged that only 20% of the attendees managed to secure slots.
Niko na more than 7 years of working experience at Kenya School of Government na hakuna mwenye amenishughulikia. Unapata agent anakukujia, wacha nikupe namba alafu ulipe commission. Na Alfred Mutua alisema vizuri, we are not supposed to pay anything. It's supposed to be free of charge. I'm so furious.
Nimesomea front office na receptionist. Hasa kwa saa hizi haijalishi ni kazi gani utapata, ila nimetoka mbali, nimekuja kubatisha bahati yangu, lakini ninachokiona kwa kweli mambo haifurahi.
Kwa nini watuite hapa na wanajua washatosheka na watu, washachukua watu, alafu.
So the big question here is, were there only 20% in terms of slot?
Of 3,000, then the team will come again in a few weeks time to continue with the recruitment. So they initially it was 7,000. I went to Qatar, pushed, open doors, made it 8. From a country where traditionally it's been the low level jobs, it's they're all good jobs though. Your security, your house help and all that. Now we're moving to the professional arena. They don't have any nurses from Kenya. They don't have doctors from Kenya. They don't have managers, senior managers from.
Many were told that they could not make it because maybe their experience was seen to be low, or they didn't have experience totally, or there was any other reason. So one of the things that I think the government could have reacted to is the fact that the IMF advised them to look at this matter extensively, they will perish in government. Now, perhaps if you're watching this video and you're not subscribed, take 1 second and subscribe, like this video. Until you catch up again, stay safe and stay blessed.